intro, whatever. So this video today is gonna be on Death Note, one of my hands down favorite anime of all time. My favorite psychological horror anime. It absolutely lives up to the hype. Deserves all the praise that it gets. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Probably only up to episode 15, 16, I would say. After episode 16, it gets a little wonky. If you want, you should probably watch the whole thing. But I'm just saying, the first 16 episodes, some of the best anime I've ever fucking seen. But we're not here to give an anime review. This isn't PewDiePie's channel. But what we are here to do is talk about, was Light the good guy? Was Light truly the protagonist of this story? And if he wasn't, who the hell was? Now, from my perspective, I think that Light was the anti-hero. I think he wasn't the good guy per se. He was a murderer still. You know, most good guys aren't murderers. But I think Light was more of a he's an anti-hero. He's not meant to be cheered, but people still cheered for him because he was just that fucking charismatic, myself included. I think Light is the best character in Death Note, in my opinion. And I think his intentions started out good, but they got clouded by a shroud of, how do I say this? Godlike vision and thoughts. He thought himself a god, which is the reason why you should not give humans the position of power to play with another human's life. It goes to their fucking head. It always does and always fucking will. But for me, Light was I don't think there really was a good guy in Death Note. Like, Death Note's not one of those animes where there's a protagonist versus an antagonist, because if you think about it, L isn't really a good guy either. Okay, so I'm gonna explain who all these characters are and just give a quick little synopsis of their fucking character bio. Light Yagami he's the main character, finds the Death Note, and he decides, I'm going to use this to rid the world of all the criminals. I don't care if you're a petty thief or a serial killer, you're catching smoke no matter what. The Death Note notebook that can kill anybody, that can kill any human, I should say, with, if you don't choose which way they die, they just die of a fucking heart attack. Weak ass cop out in my opinion, but hey, it is what it is. They're dead. L, he was the detective that was trying to stop Light, but he had his own fucked up mannerisms about justice and all this stupid shit. And I think that's where the real beauty of the anime comes in, is the discussion that starts on what is justice and all that stuff, what's truly right and what's wrong. But we're not here to talk about the anime today. We're just here to talk about the characters and who was the good guy. So it's obvious that Light is not a good guy. He is a murderer. No matter if they're criminals or civilians, if you murder a human, you're a murderer. It's just the way it is. L isn't really a good guy either, and if he is a protagonist, he has a surprisingly small amount of boundaries that he is willing to cross. Like, he is the definition of ends justify the means. He was willing to torture Misa to get the information that he needed to track down Kira, who is Light's alter ego, his murderous personality. And with that, he was willing to keep both Light, Misa, and Light's dad all locked up in the prison cells until Light confessed. And I believe it was a total of 60 days. He kept them locked up for 60 days, right, Dre?
It's been a while since I've seen Death Note.
Oh shit. Well, I'm just gonna go with 60 days. Fact check it if you want to.
It was a long ass time.
Yeah, it was. But I'm not gonna fact check that shit. If you want to fact check it, fact check it. Don't give a fuck.
Episode, unless you say that Light's dad is a good character.
I don't think Light's dad was a good character
He
either.
wanted the best for his son. He got caught in the crossfire, bro.
Yeah, but he blindly ignored everything because that was his son.
That's what happens when you become a delusional dad, bro.
Yeah, that's why he's not a good guy.
He just wanted the best, bro.
Nah.
He got the bad ending.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, so I would say that there is a good character in Death Note. There's a true protagonist in Death Note. I would say it has to be Matsuda.
I was gonna say this. Shinigami.
Shut the fuck up. This Shinigami's not a fucking guy. Ryuk's not a fucking good guy. But I would have to say it has to be Matsuda. Because Matsuda was pretty much the only character who was willing to see everything from both sides. He was like the one that was like, maybe L's right.
Shinigami.
Shut the fuck up. I mean, that nigga, he can kill people like a Shinigami. Put some. I'm not gonna spoil shit. Fuck that. Matsuda was the character that I think he was the character who was meant to see the world through his eyes. We were meant to see the world from Matsuda's points of vision, where we could see that, like, yeah, Light's kind of suspicious, but yeah, L.
He almost died, right?
Yeah, he got caught up by those by that company that had the Death Note.
Yeah, fake fails to like, yeah, that shit, yeah.
But we're not talking about them right now. We're just gonna focus on L, Light, and Matsuda because that's the holy trinity of the characters right there. I mean, if you're talking about the protagonist, Ryu, I said protagonists. I didn't say they were the best characters. They're the holy trinity of the protagonists.
That shit out of here. That's not DC Comics.
Shut the fuck up. No, I think Matsuda was the only guy that you could actually say was a protagonist because he didn't do anything evil. He never hurt anybody. I mean, aside from that one time.
He's not a protagonist. He's just like a good guy.
Yeah, protagonist. He's like he's the storybook definition of what a protagonist. He's not the main character, but if you wanted to point at someone and say they're a protagonist, I think Matsuda would be the best bet. Cause Light it's like the same way how Piccolo's a protagonist, but we know he's not the main character. That sort of shit. Shut the. But yeah, I think Matsuda was the true protagonist. That sounds really fucking retarded now that I say it out loud, but he was just. If you want to say that Light is the protagonist of the story, I'm not gonna fight you on that. Ryuk's not the fucking protagonist.
Fucking apples.
He was a fucking bystander. He did handstands for apples. Shut the fuck up.
Feed me some apples and call me Ryuk.
Bro, you got a chunk at home back, bro.
No.
What was that,
If you want to say that Light was the protagonist of Death Note, I would not get mad at you. I would not fight you on it because you're not wrong. He is the main character. The story is told from his stance, is from his point of view. But I feel like as the viewer, you were meant to be where Matsuda was, where he wanted to side with Light, but he couldn't agree with what Light was doing because it was so morally fucked.
Light was a crazy one.
And it's the same thing with L. You want to help. You want to let L solve the case, but he has such low moral standing that you just cannot agree with what he's doing.
You just wanted to get a killer off the streets, my guy.
He tortured Misa Misa. He tortured Light's dad. He tortured Light when Light didn't have any memories of doing the shit that he did.
You played mental games on them. You say that's torture?
Yes. He didn't feed them. He didn't do shit for them.
Starvation is not a problem.
Shut the fuck up, bro. He was willing to let Matsuda die.
Matsuda's a bitch.
Oh my god. But yeah, okay. So I think this video is getting kind of long. I'm gonna end it right here.
If you make it to 10, you can get monetization.
Fuck it. Let's take it to 10 minutes then. Shit. So, like I was about to say, he's not the protagonist. He is the main character, but he is not the good guy. He's not the good guy in the anime. He's certainly not no fucking Goku.
Now the protagonist has to be a good guy.
I thought that was the main thing about the protagonist.
Because in what's the name? Overlord, the protagonist, he's making himself out as a villain by literally killing niggas, bro.
But yeah, but like in the anime, it's usually the protagonist is the good guy and the antagonist is the bad guy.
Death Note's not a usual anime, okay?
Okay,
Bro,
fine.
she's
Okay,
not, bro. She's
well,
not.
fuck it. I guess I'm changing. I guess I'll
Bro,
change my
who
fucking
ain't
viewpoint.
like
Then,
that?
if you're going by Dre's definition of what a protagonist is,
Yeah.
then yes, Light is the protagonist because he is the main character. The story is from his point of
Oh
view.
my
But if
God.
you want to go by the traditional definition,
Ryuk is the main is the protagonist.
if you want to go by the traditional definition of a protagonist, then
Fucking Ryuk.
I would have to. I would argue that Matsuda is the protagonist. He's the one that just
He's not there from the beginning though.
he's not. He's
They
not.
never Ryuk is.
Shut the hell
No.
up.
I
He's
got
sucking Ryuk's monster dick. Shut up.
Eh?
it's like under penetration.
Oh my god. I'm gonna end the video right there. So this video didn't solve anything. It did nothing for me.
It's just a talk session.
Yeah, it's just a fucking retarded discussion. But I'll see you guys next time whenever I make another video. Peace.
Wow.